Hey again, everyone. I had one more question about this forming code stuff that I wanted to go over. I'm going to use the same example I did before. This code examples, the repeat embedded interaction code example from FORM+CODE. This is from week 2, but I just wanted to go over and so you guys could get a better understanding of what this if, else if, else if, else if option, what all that stuff is doing. So we're just going to go over that. So let's start from the very beginning. You'll notice that the code that I'm using here in my sidebar looks slightly different than the FORM+CODE example. And I have another video that details what we need to change from the processing language into JavaScript and the functions that are different, and the variable declarations that are different, and little things like that we can change. But most of this code, 99% of this code, is reusable in P5.js. So there's another video for that is linked in this same announcement. Alright, so let's start from the top down here. We have a variable option that is set to 1. Then we create our canvas. It's 400 by 300. No fill, this function removes any filling inside any elements that we create. So that doesn't matter for these lines here. It doesn't matter for these lines. It will matter for these ellipses here. These would normally have a fill, but since we called no fill up here, they will not. It'll just have its outline. So now on our draw function, we've got a background of 255 that is white. So let's change this to 220 just so we can see how it works. And hey, what do you know? It's a gray background. So that's how background works. If else, let's get to these. So if option equals 1, option is set to 1. So this is going to fire right when draw fires, which fires right after setup. So what happens? The page loads, setup fires, creates our canvas, sets the no fill switch, and then the draw function fires. We get our background, and then this evaluates, and this whole if else block evaluates all at once. And how if else works is it basically ticks through each of these things and tries to find something that's true. And if it finds something that's true, it stops and does what's inside of that. So if option equals 1, well, that's true, that's great, we'll do this code and then we're done. So if we go below down here, so we have another function on mouse press. So when we click our mouse, option plus plus. So plus plus, like I mentioned in a previous video, or the next one if you choose to watch this one first, plus plus adds 1 to whatever variable you're referencing here. So option plus plus will take option and add 1 to it. So the first time we click our mouse, option is going to go from 1 to 2. The second time we click it, it's going to go from 2 to 3. And then we have another if statement down here that happens every time we press our mouse. If option is greater than 5, reset option equal to 1. So that basically, this essentially restricts the values that option can have to be between 1 and 5, because anytime option tries to be 6, it evaluates itself on this if statement here and says if option is greater than 5, if it's 6, 7, 8, 9, but it'll never get to 7, 8, or 9. So if it's 6, reset it to 1. So every time we click, we get a new value for option, 1 through 5, and then back to 1 through 5, and then back, and all around we go. That happens every time we click. And then, so every time we click, the draw function fires as well. And remember, every time we click, we get a new option. And every time we click, draw fires. And every time draw fires, we go through this if-else statement, which checks the value of option. So every time we click, we have a new option, 1 through 5, and so that means every time we click, a new one of these code blocks will get executed. Now I'm not going to go over what these loops specifically do, I'll do that in another video, but you'll see here, when we click through, we'll get 5 different sketches, and then it'll come back to this first one of these stitches. So it'll go stitches, and then perspective, then the circles, then the arcs, then the groups of 5, then back to stitches. So let's check that out here. Here we go. One click. Option now equals 2. And this is the perspective one. One more click. This will be the overlapping circles. Here we go. Click. Overlapping circles. Rotating arcs. Groups of 5. And then option is now equal to 5. So remember down here, when we press our mouse again, we're going to add 1 to option. So option will be equal to 6 if option is greater than 5. 6 is greater than 5. Reset option to 1. When option equals 1 up here, do the stitches sketch. So we'll click it again. We've got our stitches. I hope that was a good enough explanation of how to use if-else, and let me know in the discussion forums if you need any more help with that. Thanks, guys.